I'm Jonah with Sweet Honeycomb, and today we're going to take a look at Drupal 8 and Windows 10's WSL 2.0. This is a great way to help you manage your Drupal sites using Windows 10, and I can't wait to show you how you can use this amazing technology, especially with things like Drush and Composer. So let's get right to it. Alright, so throughout this video we're going to hit a few key points, and don't worry, I'll also leave chapters down below in the YouTube video description. But we're going to take a look at what it takes to set up Windows 10 with virtualization. This enables us to install the WSL. What is WSL? We're going to take a look at that as well. And then making sure we have Ubuntu, and then how to connect to a Drupal site. A brief look at Git. And then finally, how to get Drush and Composer working in this Ubuntu environment. So the first step is making sure your Windows 10 has the WSL, which stands for Windows Subsystem for Linux. The fact that we even have this on Windows 10 is absolutely incredible. And so what this allows us to do is actually have a type of Linux environment on Windows 10 to do things like this, to work in the development environments. And so one of those key things is making sure your computer has virtualization. And so I would leave that to you to investigate further. But once you know you actually do have virtualization, then you'll definitely want to follow these steps. And I'm going to make sure there's a link to this document online. This document will walk you through step by step, making sure you have the necessary tools to get started. So with this, I'm just going to quickly scroll down to kind of give you a brief, just like they laid out. It's actually the best document online I found. It helped me get started because I already have it set up. So we'll see how this works so far. So for this next step, I'm going to go pull up my Ubuntu. So I'm just going to go right away to my Ubuntu. Oops, if I can type it correctly here. Here we go, and open up an Ubuntu. Now, on your first launch of Ubuntu, it's going to guide you through creating an admin user. But again, as you can see, it loads fairly quickly. Now, for performance testing, let's see how this looks when I pull up Task Manager. Now, I am also screen recording, so keep that in mind. That's going to affect the performance. But overall, to be honest, when I'm not screen recording, this WSL and Ubuntu is not really using a whole lot of memory, although it's more telling me right now my computer has 86% memory usage. But as I interact with this, everything loads so fast. And what I'm using here is WSL 2.0, which makes it more of a virtual environment. Using the Windows Terminal app, I can actually access my Windows 10 files as well as a way to extend this. It is super cool how it's more transparent, although right now in this version, by just opening Ubuntu directly, I'm actually more in the enclosed Ubuntu environment and so forth. But if I went to open Windows Terminal, we'll show you that. The actual Windows Terminal app, which you'll have to install from the Windows 10 store. I'm going to click on this little tab here, and I get a few options. So I'm going to go right away into my Ubuntu 20.04. And now I am in Ubuntu, and just as easy, I can do an ls, kind of see what I'm looking at, and these are actually my Windows 10's files. So it creates a mount point for my Windows 10. This is so cool. I can actually open up Visual Code, and oops, I'm probably typing in wrong, but I can actually open up my Visual Code app and work with the files on Ubuntu as well. This is what's so cool about WSL 2.0 is it's more seamless. The fact that you can work in both environments, and I love it. But let's get back to Drupal, and I'm going to cover that in the next step. So because it's the Ubuntu environment, you'll want to make sure you've done the steps for installing and getting things like Composer. And I'm going to again link to these resources. But one of the things I found that help in this process is the Drush Launcher. I tried all the other steps and resources out there for getting Drush to work, and for some reason it still didn't find it even when I did a global path. Following the Drush Launcher for me worked. And so that made it really easy for me to use the Drush command especially. And so if you come across the same boat where you're like, I can't get Drush working within Ubuntu in this terminal, well, then I definitely would say take a look at this step. This helped me a ton, and so I can use Drush commands a little more seamless as well. And to kind of take a quick trick over here, this is the usual installing and upgrading Drush on an Ubuntu environment. And so try this way first, and then the other one, however you want to do it. The end result is making sure you can have Drush available. If anything else, this will definitely make sure you have Composer, which is necessary to working with Drupal 8. So one of the things I also came across is I have a different type of setup. So you may want to take this step as totally optional. I'm using Pantheon for my Drupal website. I just love it. And so one of the things they use is Terminus. The one reason I like Terminus is it allows me to actually action a Drush command directly onto my Ubuntu environment. So once I followed through the steps they give me here to even get Terminus to find it, it is super cool to work, because all I have to do is run this command and it will just work. So let's pull up a command real quick and see how this works. And then so if I do Terminus, and then I just sstv.def, and then oh yeah, I need to put in Drush, sorry. Drush, for example, and let's see what they give me here. And so I should be able to run any command. So let's try this. Download Bootstrap. They say not to install modules, but you can download them. So let's download it. Gets downloaded, does not install it. And so we'll give it a moment. It's connecting right away to my environment. So right now it's giving me a warning because I need to make sure it's an SFTP mode first. So this has to do with my environment more than anything else. And so I'm just going to take a moment to enable that. So now that I've run it in this, I have it back in regular SFTP mode. And so I'm going to run that Terminus command one more time just to show you how this works. So it's going to connect to my Pantheon, get me to type in my password here. So I give it a moment to do this. And so just like that, I already have Bootstrap, so I'm going to tell it to overwrite it so you can see that process. And just like that, it downloaded Bootstrap onto my Drupal website. This is super cool. This is Drush working within Ubuntu within Windows 10. It's like Inception. All right, well, let's take a look how we can work with Composer next. I'm not going to cover everything with Git, so the best thing to do, especially when you start working with Composer, is to clone your website to Ubuntu here, which I have, so I'm going to do an ls. So this ss-tv-new is totally what I used. And so I used the git clone command, so it would pull it down. But again, we are in Ubuntu, so I can use git commands fairly seamless. So let's switch right away to my ss.tv.new. And the reason is this is how we can work with Composer within this Ubuntu environment. So I'm just going to do Composer, see how this works. I'm going to do require, and of course Drupal, and let's do Bootstrap. And I already have Bootstrap on here, so it's probably going to complain here. So let's let it run. Okay, so it wants me to be more specific. What type of Bootstrap do I want? And so it's being a bit silly for sure. It's like, well, no, just give me that. That's probably because I did it. It's because I did the at sign. I wasn't sure what I meant. So just like that, it downloaded. Composer's working fully within Drupal. This excites me a lot because normally this would have been really hard to do any other way, which is why I'm absolutely loving WSL. And here I am working with Drupal. So if I do git status, it's going to do a check to see, of course, I need to enable git again on my Pantheon. It's going to probably complain here in a second that I don't have git enabled, but I'm doing a git status just to kind of see what changes I've made because I just downloaded the Bootstrap. See what it does, and right away git tells me, yep, there are some changes here. So I could do a git push, but this won't work because I would have to go back to the Pantheon. There is a Terminus command where I can enable git that I can look up. But besides that, this is exciting. I am working with Drupal here on Windows, right? This is super cool. Thank you for watching this video on a brief overview on working with Drupal 8 and Windows 10 WSL 2.0. Thank you for watching. Please hit like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. and consider supporting this channel by buying me a coffee. And I'll see you next time.